Stop waiting for life to arrive. You know what stops most people from ever stepping into their potential? It's not failure. It's not rejection. It's not even fear. It's waiting. Waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect moment when everything aligns and life suddenly feels ready. But let me tell you something. That moment you're waiting for, it never comes. Life will never hand you a flawless start. The right time you dream of is just an illusion. A comforting lie that keeps you standing still while your dreams slowly drift further away. Every second you spend waiting as a second life moves forward without you. You think you're being careful, being wise, being patient, but deep down you're hesitating because of fear. Fear of failing, fear of not being enough, fear of trying and realizing it's harder than you imagined. But the truth is, the only way to overcome fear is to step into it. The only way to find clarity is to move, to take action, even when it doesn't feel perfect. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start when I feel ready"? You wanted to change, to grow, to begin that dream, but you kept saying maybe tomorrow. And then tomorrow turned into weeks, weeks into months. And suddenly a year passed, and you're still standing in the same place wondering why nothing has changed. You're not alone in this. We've all been there. We've all looked at our reflection and said, "I know I can do more," but then did nothing about it. But the truth is, waiting doesn't build your future. Movement does. Perfection is not the starting line. It's the result of starting messy, failing, learning, and improving along the way. Every great story began with someone who didn't feel ready, but they started anyway. They stumbled, they doubted, they made mistakes, but they moved. And because they moved, they grew. Because they grew, they became. Let me ask you something. How many dreams died inside people who waited too long? How many brilliant ideas never saw the light because someone said, "Now's not the right time"? The graveyard is full of unfinished stories. Not because people weren't talented, but because they waited. They waited for courage to show up, for circumstances to be perfect, for fear to disappear. But courage doesn't come before action, and it comes after. You earn it by doing, by failing, by trying again and again until your fear realizes it no longer controls you. There's something you need to understand. Hesitation is expensive. Every time you wait, you pay in opportunities, in time and growth. You trade progress for comfort, potential for excuses. You think you're staying safe, but you're actually standing still while life moves on without you. The world doesn't pause while you figure yourself out. The clock keeps ticking. The question is, how much longer will you keep watching time pass instead of creating something with it? Maybe you're waiting for a sign. You want a clear signal that this is the moment to start. But what if this is the sign? What if right now, this message, this moment, is the universe telling you it's time? You've been given another day, another chance, another breath. What are you going to do with it? Keep waiting? Or finally decide that enough is enough? Every great change starts with a single step. Not a leap, just a step. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to move one step forward. Because once you take that first step, something incredible happens, momentum. You begin to shift from wishing to doing, from thinking to becoming. And once that shift begins, it's unstoppable. You see, the pain of starting will never be as great as the pain of regret. One day you'll look back and realize the moments you hesitated were the moments you lost. Time, opportunity, and growth. Don't let another someday become your excuse. Someday is a thief that steals your purpose. And you deserve more than that. If you're still waiting because you feel afraid, let me tell you, fear doesn't mean stop. It means go anyway. Every strong person you admire once stood where you are. Uncertain, scared, unsure. The only difference is they didn't let fear stop them. They used it as fuel. They took the step before they were ready, and that's why they made it. So stop waiting for the perfect timing. There will always be reasons to delay. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough support. But if you wait for all the lights to turn green before you drive, you'll never move. Life rewards action. It rewards those who start before they feel prepared. Start messy. Start scared. Start imperfect. Because it's not about starting right. It's about starting now. Every second you hesitate is a second lost. But every step you take brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. And when you finally look back, you won't remember how afraid you were. You'll remember that one moment when you decided to stop waiting and start becoming. That moment when you stopped asking, "When will I begin?" and answered with "Today." Because in the end, the perfect time isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. with your courage, your choices, and your belief in what's possible. The truth is simple. You don't need a perfect moment to begin. You just need this one. And this one is right now, Appen. It's already calling your name. Are you ready to answer? You know what keeps most people stuck in life? It's not the lack of opportunity, not even lack of talent, it's waiting. Waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel ready. But here's the truth. You will never feel completely ready. The perfect time will never magically appear. Because life doesn't wait for you to feel prepared, it keeps moving. Every second you spend waiting is another second drifting away from the life you could be living. We keep saying, I'll start when I have more money, or I'll start when I'm confident enough, or I'll begin when things settle down. But think about it. When has life ever truly settled? There's always noise, always chaos, always uncertainty. The people who become something great in life are not the ones who waited for calm waters. They learned to sail through the storm. So many people dream about changing their lives but never take that first step because they're scared. Scared of failure, scared of judgment, scared of what people might say. But fear is not your enemy, comfort is. Fear at least means you're alive, that you're stepping into something that matters. Comfort is where dreams silently die. Let me ask you something. How many times have you talked yourself out of something you wanted to do? You had an idea, a spark, a vision, and then your mind started whispering, what if it doesn't work?
What if I fail?
And so you waited. You told yourself you'll start next week, next month, next year. And suddenly years have passed and you're still standing at the same spot, waiting for the perfect version of yourself to appear. But that version only comes after you start, not before. Every person you admire today, the successful ones, the confident ones, the unshakable ones, they didn't start because they had it all figured out. They started because they refused to keep waiting. They decided to become. They failed, learned, fell, and rose again. They understood that progress is messy, but it's still progress. You can't think your way into transformation, you have to act your way into it. You can't wait your way into confidence, you have to build it by doing. Every little step you take, no matter how small, begins to shape the person you want to become. Waiting for the right time is like waiting for a train that never arrives. The doors of opportunity don't open because you're patient. They open because you're persistent. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for motivation and start moving with discipline. Motivation fades. Discipline transforms. When you take that first uncomfortable step, the universe starts to respond. Doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. But none of that happens if you just stand there waiting. Sometimes waiting feels safer than doing, because waiting doesn't risk failure. Waiting doesn't invite judgment, but it also doesn't bring growth, joy, or freedom. Life doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who dare. You have to be willing to start small, to start messy, to start scared, but start anyway. You don't need the entire staircase visible to take the first step. Just trust that as you move, the next step will appear. That's how becoming happens. Not overnight, not perfectly, but through consistent movement. So the question is, how long will you keep waiting? How long will you keep saying one day, you are not waiting for the right moment? The right moment is waiting for you. Every day you delay, the version of yourself you could become moves further away. But every action you take, no matter how small, brings you closer. You've got to stop standing on the edge of your potential, looking down, imagining what life could be. You've got to jump. Because the wings you're looking for don't grow while you wait. They grow while you fall and learn to rise. You've already spent enough time wishing, hoping, and waiting. Now it's time to start becoming the person you keep picturing in your mind. Becoming the one who doesn't just dream but does. The one who doesn't just wish but works. So don't wait for life to hand you the signal. You are the signal. You are the moment. Every breath you take is your chance to be gay. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Start becoming the reason your future looks different. You see, we often convince ourselves that something magical will happen once we get there. Once we reach that destination, once we achieve that goal, once we have that relationship, that job, that status, that body, that peace, then we'll finally feel fulfilled. But here's the truth that most people miss. The journey is the becoming. You don't become by arriving. You become by walking through the process. The waiting, the struggle, the effort, the discipline. That's where transformation actually happens. So many people get trapped in the illusion that success is a place, that happiness is waiting for them at the end of some long road. But happiness doesn't come after you change your life. It comes while you're changing it. The waiting makes you wiser. The challenges make you tougher. The discomfort molds you into someone who can handle what you're praying for. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when life forces you to stretch. Think about a seed. Before it becomes a tree, it's buried in darkness. It doesn't see light for a long time. It doesn't know what's happening around it. But while it's buried, it's not dead and it's growing. It's forming roots. It's preparing. And when the time is right, it breaks through the soil and rises toward the sun. That's exactly how life works. You're not being buried. You're being planted. Your waiting season isn't punishment. It's preparation. We all have moments when we feel stuck. When we look around and think, nothing's happening. I'm not moving forward. But if you're still showing up, still trying, still believing, then you're not stuck. You're growing in silence. Transformation doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it happens quietly in the background, through the simple act of not giving up. The problem is we live in a world that glorifies instant results. Everyone wants quick success, fast growth, overnight fame. But real growth doesn't work like that. You can't microwave greatness. You can't rush becoming. The person you're meant to be is built through patience, through persistence, through pain. You don't evolve by skipping the process. You evolve by enduring it. Every delay, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, and it's shaping something within you. You may not see it right now, but one day, you'll look back and realize that everything you thought was holding you back was actually pushing you forward. That closed door protected you. That painful ending redirected you. That waiting season refined you. Life was not working against you. It was working for you. Sometimes God or the universe slows you down on purpose. Because if you got everything you wanted too soon, you wouldn't be ready to handle it. You'd break under the weight of what you weren't yet prepared to carry. The waiting is not wasted. It's where your strength is built. Every second of it has a reason, even the ones that don't make sense right now. When you learn to find meaning in the middle of waiting, something shifts. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's this teaching me? Because the moment you start learning from your pain, you stop suffering from it. The same struggle that once made you cry begins to make you stronger. The same delay that once frustrated you begins to give you patience. The same pain that once broke you begins to build you. Becoming isn't about speed, it's about direction. It's not how fast you move. It's about whether you're moving toward your truth. Some of the greatest transformations in life happen slowly, like sunrise. You barely notice the change until suddenly, everything around you is filled with light. If you're in a season where nothing seems to be happening, where progress feels invisible, remember this: the roots grow before the fruits show. What's unseen is often the most important part of your growth. The world might not see your effort right now, but that doesn't mean it's not working. Every prayer, every act of faith, every time you show up when no one claps, that's where the becoming happens. Don't let the silence fool you. Don't let the waiting break your spirit. The person you're becoming is worth the patience. The things you're learning now are shaping you into someone capable of handling blessings with wisdom, success with humility, and growth with grace. There's beauty in the process, even when it's painful. There's purpose in the pause, even when it feels like you're stuck. You just have to trust that the story isn't over, that this chapter, this slow, uncertain testing chapter, is leading you to something far greater than what you imagined. So instead of saying, I'm still waiting, start saying, I'm still becoming. Because every moment you stay committed to your path, every time you choose faith over fear, every day you keep moving, you're not waiting anymore. You're transforming. And when the time comes, when everything you've been working toward finally starts to align, you'll understand that the waiting wasn't wasted time. It was the making of you. You were never just waiting. You were becoming. And that's where your true power has always been. There's something powerful that happens when you stop waiting for life to magically get better and start becoming the person who makes it better. The moment you decide to take ownership, truly take control of your own path, you stop living as a victim of circumstances and start living as the architect of your destiny. Most people don't even realize how much of their life they've spent on pause, waiting for the right moment, the right people, or the right opportunity. But here's the truth. There is no perfect time, no perfect plan, no perfect condition. There's only you and the choices you make right now. Every time you tell yourself, I'll start when I'm ready, you give fear more control over your life. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Growth never asks for permission. It demands commitment. You become ready by doing. You build confidence by taking action, not by waiting for motivation, because motivation is temporary, it's emotional. But discipline, consistency, and ownership, those are what build empires. Think about it. The person you want to become, the stronger, wiser, more fulfilled version of you, isn't waiting somewhere out there. That version of you is being created through every choice you make in this very moment. When you own your life, you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" And that small shift changes everything, because suddenly every struggle becomes a stepping stone. Every challenge becomes a chance to build character. You've got to understand, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to hand you the life you dream about. The people you admire, the ones you look up to, they didn't get there by waiting for luck. They got there by taking ownership of their story. They fell, they failed, they broke down, but they stood up again and again and again, because they knew that power only comes when you stop blaming the world and start becoming the change. When you own your path, you also stop chasing validation. You stop seeking permission from others to live the life you want. Most people never reach their potential because they care too much about what others will think. But here's something raw and real. No one's opinion will ever pay your bills, heal your pain, or build your dreams. You can't become who you're meant to be if you're constantly trying to please who they want you to be. Ownership is freedom. It's not about control. It's about responsibility. It's about saying, yes, my life hasn't been easy, but it's mine. My mistakes are mine, my victories are mine, my journey is mine. And when you truly accept that, you stop running from yourself. You stop hiding behind excuses. You realize that your past may have shaped you, but it doesn't define your future. Let me tell you something powerful. Everything changes when you start taking radical responsibility for your life. You start showing up differently. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You begin to see pain as a teacher, not a punishment. And slowly that inner strength that you once thought was gone begins to awaken. You start walking with purpose, speaking with confidence, and living with intention. Taking ownership also means forgiving yourself for the past. Because you can't become who you're meant to be if you're still chained to who you were. You made mistakes, so what? Everyone does. The difference is whether you keep repeating them or use them as lessons. You owe it to yourself to let go of guilt, to release the version of you that acted out of fear or confusion, and to step into the version that acts out of clarity and conviction. And I want you to remember this. No one has your story, no one has your scars, and no one has your strength. You are not behind. You are becoming. The setbacks you've faced weren't signs of failure. They were calls to rise. Maybe life knocked you down to remind you how powerful it is when you get back up. Maybe it broke your plans so you could build better ones. So stop saying, "One day I'll change," and start saying, "Today I choose to begin." Stop waiting for inspiration and start acting on intention. Don't just dream about the life you want. Own the choices that lead you there. Because the truth is, your future isn't waiting on time, it's waiting on you. And when you finally take ownership, when you finally say, "Enough waiting, I'm becoming," that's the moment everything aligns. The universe responds to action, not hesitation. The doors you thought were closed begin to open. The people you need start appearing. Not because magic suddenly happened, but because you did. So stop waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are the turning point. You are the moment that changes everything. Because the day you stop waiting is the day you start becoming. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that not everyone will understand your growth, and that's okay. Because becoming who you are meant to be often means outgrowing who you once were. And that also means outgrowing some people, some places, and even some parts of yourself. See, when you decide to stop waiting and start becoming, you'll notice something powerful. The world around you won't always clap for you. Some will doubt you. Some will distance themselves. Some will even try to remind you of your past just to make you question your progress. But you can't let that stop you. Growth is uncomfortable. Transformation is lonely. And evolution, real deep evolution, isn't something everyone can handle. The truth is, the moment you start walking a new path, you start leaving behind the old one. The moment you begin thinking differently, acting differently, believing differently, you start to stand out. And when that happens, people notice. Some get inspired. Others get intimidated. But your job isn't to be understood by everyone. Your job is to stay faithful to your becoming. You have to remind yourself that growth demands sacrifice. You can't carry everything and everyone with you. Some relationships fade because they were tied to your old identity. Some dreams fall apart because they were never really yours. They were just what others expected from you. And though letting go hurts, it's part of the process. You can't step into your next chapter if you keep rereading the last one. There will be moments when you feel alone. Moments when you'll question if you made the right decision. Moments when you'll miss the comfort of your old life. That's natural, because change is rarely easy. The human heart clings to familiarity. It wants the known, even if the known isn't good for us. But that's where your strength is tested, because the price of becoming is leaving behind what no longer serves you. And that's a price worth paying. It's not that those people or situations were bad, it's that they were temporary. They were part of the chapter that shaped you, not the one that will define you. You honor your past not by staying in it, but by learning from it, by saying thank you for the lessons and then turning the page with courage. You'll also find that as you grow, your silence will become louder than your words. You'll no longer feel the need to prove your worth or defend your choices. You'll stop explaining your journey to those who haven't walked your road. Because when you're truly becoming, you realize that your transformation doesn't need validation. It needs consistency. And here's something many people don't talk about. Sometimes, becoming your best self will make you feel like you're losing everything. You might lose friends, lose comfort, lose old habits that once made you feel safe. But what you're really losing are the things that were keeping you from rising. Painful endings often lead to beautiful beginnings. That silence you fear? It's not emptiness, it's space. Space for new blessings. Space for peace. Space for the version of you that's been waiting to breathe. You have to trust that if something or someone is meant for the person you're becoming, it will align again. You don't have to chase. You don't have to force. You don't have to beg people to see your worth. The right people will recognize it. The right opportunities will meet you where you are. The right energy will stay. You just have to keep moving, keep growing, and keep believing that your becoming is not a loss, it's a rebirth. It's funny how life works sometimes. When you finally decide to change, you'll find that some people will say, "You've changed," as if that's a bad thing. But isn't that the point? To change, to evolve, to become better than you were yesterday, to grow out of the patterns that broke you and the thoughts that limited you. If you're not changing, you're not living. If you're not evolving, you're not becoming. And yes, it hurts to walk away from certain people or from parts of your old identity that once felt like home. But remind yourself your old life may have been comfortable, but it wasn't fulfilling. Comfort keeps you safe. Growth makes you strong. And sometimes you need to choose strength over safety, even when it scares you. The truth is, becoming isn't about fixing yourself, it's about finding yourself. It's about remembering who you are beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the versions of yourself you built just to survive. It's about peeling back the layers until all that's left is you, raw, real, and ready. So if you feel like you're walking alone, if you feel misunderstood, if you feel like no one sees the battles you're fighting, keep walking. Because the road to becoming isn't crowded. It's quiet, it's sacred, it's meant for those who are brave enough to face themselves. The loneliness you feel now will one day turn into peace. The confusion will turn into clarity. The pain will turn into purpose. One day you'll look back and realize why certain people had to leave, why certain things had to fall apart, why certain seasons were so heavy. You'll see that none of it was random, it was all preparation. Life wasn't taking from you. It was clearing the path for the person you were meant to become. So don't fear the distance. Don't mourn the endings. Don't fight the changes. You are not losing, you are leveling up. You're shedding the old so you can rise into the new. Because when you stop waiting and start becoming, you stop surviving your story. And you start writing it. There comes a time in every journey when you realize the person you've been waiting for is you. The hero you keep hoping will show up. The opportunity you keep praying will appear. The moment you keep expecting to arrive. It's all been waiting for you to move. Because becoming isn't about what happens to you. It's about what happens through you. It's about deciding deep within that no one is coming to save you. And that's not a tragedy. That's your greatest freedom. When you stop waiting for life to give you permission and start creating your own permission, something shifts inside you. You stop making excuses. You stop looking at what others have and start working with what you've got. You stop wishing for the perfect time, and you start realizing now is the time. Because the truth is, the life you dream of won't appear out of thin air. It's built piece by piece through decisions, discipline, and faith. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to have it all figured out before they start. They think clarity comes before action, when in reality, clarity is born from action. You won't discover your strength by waiting for it. You discover it by stepping into the unknown, by trying, failing, learning, and trying again. The person who acts even when scared will always outgrow the person who waits until they feel ready, because you'll never feel completely ready. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from courage. You might be waiting for a sign, for some kind of confirmation that you're on the right path. But sometimes the sign is your own restlessness, the quiet voice inside saying, "I can't stay here anymore." That voice isn't random. It's your soul trying to wake you up. It's life whispering, "Move." Every time you ignore it, you delay your own becoming. Every time you listen to it, you step closer to your purpose. You see, waiting feels safe because it allows us to imagine without risking failure. It gives us the illusion of control. But life isn't lived in waiting. It's lived in doing. You can't cross a bridge by staring at it. You have to take a step even if your legs shake. The path won't light up all at once. It will light up one step at a time as you move. And that's the secret. Momentum creates miracles. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to begin. Every action you take, no matter how small, starts rewiring your mind, building your confidence and shaping your future. You'll stumble, yes. You'll question yourself, yes. But every mistake will teach you something, and every lesson will take you further than waiting ever could. Don't let fear disguise itself as preparation. So many people spend years getting ready for a life they never start. They convince themselves they're waiting for the right time, but deep down, they're waiting to stop being afraid. Here's the truth: fear never fully disappears. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move despite it. You'll learn that courage isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the voice that says, "Let's try one more time." It's waking up every day and choosing to keep going, even when you can't see the results yet. It's trusting that your small steps matter, even when no one's watching, because eventually, those small steps become big shifts. And before you know it, the person you used to dream of becoming is the one staring back at you in the mirror. There will be days when you'll doubt if it's worth it, when it feels like you're putting in effort but seeing no reward. That's the test. That's where most people give up. But becoming isn't instant. It's a slow burn. The seed doesn't see the sunlight while it's buried underground, but that doesn't mean it's not growing. You too are growing in silence, in struggle, in obscurity. One day, what's been happening beneath the surface will break through, and it'll all make sense. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You just need to have the faith to start. The rest unfolds along the way. The right people, the right opportunities, the right moments, they'll appear once you move. Because movement attracts meaning. Stagnation repels it. So don't keep waiting for motivation. Motivation follows motion. Start even if you're uncertain. Speak even if your voice shakes. Create even if you doubt yourself. Move even if you're scared. Because once you take that first step, something powerful happens. You begin to build trust with yourself. You begin to prove to your own soul that you're capable, and slowly you stop being afraid of failure. You start realizing that every failure is simply feedback, guiding you closer to where you're meant to be. You stop needing guarantees, and you start embracing growth. You begin to understand that your becoming is not about reaching perfection. It's about discovering progress. You'll find strength in your own reflection. You'll look back and say, "I didn't wait, I built, I became." That moment of realization, that's freedom. That's power. That's what it means to live with purpose, because every day you choose to act instead of waiting, you're rewriting your story. You're breaking patterns. You're shifting from victim to creator, from dreamer to doer. You're no longer waiting for life to change, you're becoming the change itself. So if you're still waiting for the perfect time, this is it. If you're waiting for the right sign, this is it. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still capable, that's your sign. Life has already chosen you. Now it's your turn to choose life. Because the moment you stop waiting and start becoming, everything changes. The life you dream of isn't waiting for you to find it. It's waiting for you to become it.